Before I even get to any sort of weekly overview, I want to get the Virgo new moon video out of the way. It's just what I'm feeling inspired to do. So the Virgo, we have two new moons in Virgo. We have, just like in March and April of 2023, we had a first new moon in Aries at that time, followed by a second new moon, which was also a solar eclipse. Similarly, August 22nd of 2025 Pacific time, we have the first new moon in Virgo at around 0 degrees and 22 minutes. And then we're going to have a second new moon in Virgo on September 21st at 29 degrees and 5 minutes. And that September 21st new moon, of course, is also a solar eclipse, a south node solar eclipse. So we have two new moons in Virgo, two new moons in the Virgo part of your chart, and so on and so forth. The first is a normal new moon. The second is a new moon solar eclipse. And to cover some very basic ground first, the next 4 days, our energy is going to dim, especially when the new moon is especially when the moon, getting darker and darker, is going to go over the sign of Leo. Right now, the moon is in Gemini, but as it goes through Gemini and as it then goes through Cancer, and then when it comes into Leo, it's going to be a dark moon, it's going to be a small moon, it's going to be a shrinking moon in terms of how much of it is lit. And especially when the moon goes over Leo, you might find closure related to what the month of Leo has been about. We had a new moon in Leo on July 23rd or thereabouts, July 23rd, 24th. And a new moon creates a 4-week period, a 28-day period, a 28-day month. And August the 22nd is going to create another 28-day month. Well, in Virgo's case, we're really going to have a 56-day month, if there is such a thing. We're going to have 2 months dedicated to the sign of Virgo, because we're going to have two new moons. So the sign of Leo occupies a certain house in your chart, and a new moon occurred around July the 24th. And when the moon, now in the next couple of days, next few days, comes into the sign of Leo, pay attention to, even though your intuitive energy is going to be dimming, I find that when the moon comes back around in the sign that it created the new moon about 4 weeks ago, you get a sense of what this past month has been about and what is coming to a close. Number two, as I said, our energy is going to be dimming, and certainly when the moon, dark moon, is going over Leo, especially, we're going to feel a certain amount of exhaustion, flatness, depression, even hopelessness. We don't have a lot of wind in our sails. And then the new moon occurs and the wind gets behind your sail. The wave starts to move towards the shore, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and more intense as we head to that full moon 2 weeks after the new moon in the sign of Pisces. And that too is an eclipse on September the 7th. So we're heading to a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces on September the 7th. And then the wave is going to start to pull back down, and it's going to come back to the September 21st new moon solar eclipse in Virgo, followed 2 weeks later by the full moon in Aries, and so on and so forth. It's going to start to be, the houses in the chart are going to start to get sort of extended attention, because the sun is going to enter a house, and the new moon, right now, we're going to have the sun enter Virgo on August 21st, 22nd, go right into a new moon. But once we get to September 21st, after that, the new moons are going to start to occur. The sun is going to enter a certain part of the chart, make its way through much of the chart, and the new moon is going to occur at the end of that cycle. So we're going to have about each house is going to get a certain amount of extended attention now for a few months, as that new moon gets closer and closer and closer and closer to the center. Anyway, it's just the way cycles work. It's fascinating and it's fun and it's lovely. And I dare say we're ready for this new moon. The third thing I want to say about this new moon, and as we head to it, Mercury is now direct. And this video is very much, kind of built upon the last video I did that took an eagle's eye view of the rest of 2025. So please know that that's out there and for you to look at. But Mercury is now direct. And we're going to start to feel like we're moving in a certain direction. And really, the energetic clearance to pass go or to move forward with greater intensity and velocity will come after this new moon in Virgo, which is ruled now by a direct Mercury. And Mercury is going to be moving forward with a certain amount of speed at that point in time. So those are three broad things that I want to mention as we head to this new moon about a week from today. The new moon, the only aspect that the new moon makes, the new moon in Virgo, squares Uranus in Gemini. Uranus is at about 1 degree 22 minutes, and the new moon is at 0 degrees 22 minutes, so they're separated by 1 degree. So the new moon is in Virgo, Uranus is in Gemini. Before I talk about what that means, what I want to highlight to you is, and this is interesting and important, is that the second new moon solar eclipse, which is also a solar eclipse in Virgo on September 21st, trines Uranus in Gemini. That new moon solar eclipse is also going to trine Pluto in Aquarius. So we start off the Virgo new moons with a square to Uranus, and then 4 weeks after that, when we have the Virgo new moon solar eclipse, that particular new moon in Virgo, new moon solar eclipse Virgo, forms a grand trine with Uranus in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius. So I think it is very, very likely for a lot of us that this new moon in Virgo is going to act like a normal new moon. And then when we get to the new moon solar eclipse, which is a south node solar eclipse, we're going to go into south node solar eclipse mode, which is that we're going to start the process of releasing something. And this, what I'm saying right now, I really developed quite a bit in that second half of 2025 video, because it's an important theme. It's, I would say, the second most important theme in the second half of 2025. The first is that Saturn re-enters Pisces on September the 1st. And the second is that we have a complete eclipse cycle, a new moon solar eclipse in Virgo on September the 21st, bookended by a full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo on March the 3rd of next year. So it is a solar eclipse 6 months later, followed by a lunar eclipse in the same sign. And so it is a complete experience. And because it's a south node eclipse, there is a strong possibility of either getting strong messages with regard to what it is that needs to be released in the house occupied by Virgo in your chart. There could be developments towards that release. Some of you might actually complete the release. Some of you might make significant progress or planning or get clarity around that release, only to release it when the Virgo full moon lunar eclipse occurs in the beginning of 2027, because we get one more Virgo eclipse after these two in the beginning of 27. All right. Very likely that this Virgo new moon, this first Virgo new moon on August the 22nd, is going to bring us something, or we are going to take action to remember that when a new moon occurs, it sets up a 4-week month, a 28-day period where we take action to bring matters related to the house where the new moon is occurring into alignment with what we value. We plant seeds. It's that kind of action. We plant seeds. Venus, who takes that seed planting to the next level, she's not necessarily bringing culminations, as much as you can call it a culmination. If we're planting seeds, sorry, my contact in my left eye is starting to give me a little bit of trouble. If we're planting seeds, and let's just say we start to knock on a few doors, when Venus comes into Virgo, why is my laptop not waking up? Here we go. When Venus comes into Virgo, she goes from the idea that we've been knocking on 12 or 15 doors after the new moon to opening the 2 or 3 doors where we can have next steps. She introduces an element of luck in whatever we're doing. And Venus is not going to come into Virgo till the middle of September. The reason why, oh my God, this contact lens. Sorry. Give me 1 second. I want to get you the date for when Venus is going to enter Virgo. That's why I'm going to my laptop. I will have to figure out what's going on with my contact lens later. Venus comes into Virgo on September 19th. Venus is yet to come into Leo. Venus comes into Leo on August the 25th, which is something we're probably all looking forward to. But Venus comes into Virgo on September the 19th, 2 days before the second new moon solar eclipse occurs in Virgo. So right now, this particular new moon on August the 22nd sets up a 28-day period where we are going to take action. And everything that I've said so far contributes to this. The idea that we get to move forward with a direct Mercury now on our side. If you have Mercury retrograde in your birth chart, it's likely and possible that while Mercury was retrograde, you set the agenda and became clear about and became decisive about which direction you want to move forward in, made some decisions, and the next 3 months you're going to be acting in that direction. If you have Mercury direct in the birth chart, you likely had to go back to the drawing board, switch tracks, get real about something, let retrograde Mercury give you the facts on something or reprocess something. And now that Mercury is direct, you may have switched tracks, put your eggs in a different basket, or taken them out of a basket that was going to collapse, and Mercury may have given you that intimation, and you are now moving in a desired direction, hopefully in a direction that fulfills and makes sense to your goals. But it is also, you may be moving towards exploring other avenues and other opportunities, or have committed to another opportunity and are moving forward in a direction that may feel more aligned, feel a little mysterious, because very often when Mercury is giving us a reality check on something, we're very invested in that something that we have a reality check around, and we may have made some changes or gone back to the drawing board. And now for the next 3 months, all the way to the end of the first week of November, we are going to be pursuing a certain path. But pursuing that path has already started to gain a kind of single-minded sense of purpose and a sense of motion. That motion may feel a little bit slow right now, but it's present. And after the 22nd, that motion is going to increase. We are going to be moving forward. So we got the new moon in Virgo, which for all intents and purposes acts not only like a new moon in Virgo, but also to some extent like a new moon in Leo, for the simple reason that when the last new moon occurred in Leo, Mercury was retrograde. So with this new moon in Virgo, matters both related to the Virgo part of the chart and the Leo part of the chart, where Mercury still is. Mercury is still going to be in Leo till September the 2nd, where Venus is entering on August the 26th. So both the Leo and the Virgo part of the chart are going to get a bit of a boost with this new moon. The new moon energy, of course, is specifically related to the house occupied by Virgo, but the energy clearance of it being a new moon under a direct Mercury will likely give matters related to the Leo and the Virgo part of the chart a boost as far as moving forward is concerned. You can tell I'm still dealing with a minor housefly issue. Oh, this contact lens in the left eye is going to drive me bananas. A trap has been ordered. I don't like the idea of trapping insects, but it has to be done, because I'm not going to be opening with a house cat. I'm not going to be leaving the door open so that these flies can leave. What the hell is going on with this contact lens? Okay. Anyway. Always something in Abhi's videos. Always something. Is it time to change lenses? It might be. Okay. Feels like a hair in my eye. That's what it feels like. Okay, like an eyelash in my eye. That's what it feels like. Now, with a new moon, we are taking action to bring matters related to the part of the chart where the new moon has occurred into alignment. We are planting seeds. But very often a day before, within 48 hours, within 72 hours of a new moon, subtle but unmistakable openings occur that the universe provides, or spirit provides, that we can also take advantage of. We see a job posting that we want to apply to. You get an email from someone. The action that a new moon creates is an action, is an opening and a portal for a set of actions to occur from our side. But sometimes the universe also cooperates and drops something to us, something or some things to us. And if not within, very often I find between the day before a new moon and the 48 to 72 hours after a new moon, this energy is very present. Sometimes it can take a week to 2 weeks. By the time the full moon occurs, whatever it is that the universe is trying to drop to you has been dropped. So just pay attention to where is the sign of Virgo in your chart, which house is occupied by Virgo, and what does it mean to bring that part of the chart into alignment with what you value and what you want. What is the gap between what you want for that part of the chart and where things are at? And what is the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step that you can take to address bringing the Virgo part of the chart into alignment? You're going to have, dear ones, not just 28 days, but 56 days, because you have 2 new moons in succession in the Virgo part of the chart where you're going to be doing this. Now, this particular new moon operates like a new moon, and then it heads 2 weeks later into the Pisces full moon eclipse. And by the time that eclipse occurs, Saturn will be back into Pisces. So there's something in the Pisces part of the chart that, whatever action is being taken in, you can't ignore the opposing house when you're taking action in a particular part of the chart. I don't want to get into that right now. I actually think I'm going to develop that more when I talk about the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Right now, I just want to stay focused on this new moon in Virgo. With this new moon in Virgo, it's likely to operate more like a new moon and less like a south node eclipse. So it may be that with this new moon, you are taking actions and the universe might be bringing you things that are very clean with regard to them being things that you need to do or things you need to respond to that are going to help bring the Virgo part of the chart, the house occupied by Virgo when the new moon occurs, into alignment. And taking that action may allow Uranus in Gemini, in the Gemini part of the chart, to move you on a path that is true for you, introduce you to people that are right for you, place you in groups and environments and jobs and locations, and connect you to a path, the right breadcrumbs for you. Who are you authentically, and what is your authentic path? It may not be the conventional way of doing things. It may not be the conventional path. From an LA perspective, you hear all these stories about people who are working their way through a conventional way of increasing or enhancing their career, their acting or singing career. Very often it's in acting or music here in LA, through conventional ways. First I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, then I'm going to get this, and then I'm going to do that. And then you hear about so-and-so sitting in Texas and a movie comes to town and they get this part. I'm not saying that you should stay put somewhere if it doesn't feel right. What I'm trying to say is you don't know what your path is. There isn't only one way to do something or become something. The question is, and more importantly, with a planet like Uranus, it's like, as I've mentioned to you before, it's like having multiple choices or 2 different choices, one that conventionally feels like it would be right on paper, but one that feels right. And may not in the short term look that exciting on paper, but if you take the one that feels right, you don't really know who you are meeting and what connections you're making and how that could get you onto your path, as opposed to doing the conventional thing, which will add the conventional thing to the resume. But if it's not for you, it may not even get that far. What's for you stays, and what's not for you becomes very uncomfortable, so that either it doesn't stay, or we don't stay, or we get asked to leave, or something happens to end it. The universe is pretty good about about those things that are right for us having a sense of flow, and those things that are not having a sense of feeling like, oh, I'm in the wrong place, or I'm with the wrong people. It's not even a question of good or bad. It's just what is and Uranus is very much about that authentic path for you. So action needing to be taken in the Virgo part of the chart as a result of this new moon, or you responding to things that the universe is bringing you and planting seeds in those directions in the Virgo part of the chart, connected to the Virgo part of the chart, in such a way that it actually allows Uranus in Gemini to continue to connect you to what is right for you in the Gemini part of the chart. 28 days after this new moon, when you have the new moon solar eclipse, and by that time Uranus and Pluto will have completed their first trine, but that new moon solar eclipse at 29 odd degrees of Virgo is going to trine both Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini. And Uranus in Gemini is trying to connect you to the right people or the right opportunities or the right path for you in such a way that it can allow Pluto to transform the Aquarius part of the chart in the way that is right for you. Pluto right now may be focusing more on dissolving what is holding you back so that he can create the transformation he wants to create all the way to 2042. But change is afoot in the Aquarius part of the chart. And Uranus in Gemini is supporting that change. And the new moon in Virgo on August 22nd is being asked. There's tension. It's a square. There's urgency. There's a need for whatever it is that you take on with this August 22nd new moon to do so in such a way. Or you may find that it automatically does. When you plant the right seeds, when you take the right actions in the Virgo part of the chart as a result of this new moon, or respond to the things that Spirit is giving you, you may find that by taking the action, by keeping up your end of the contract and showing up, because it's a new moon asking you to take action to bring matters in the Virgo part of the chart into alignment, it helps, it sets up Uranus to get you to move along the right path for you in the Gemini part of the chart. And that then, as a domino, allows Uranus to help Pluto create the right kind of transformation. By the time you get to the new moon in Virgo, the new moon solar eclipse on August the 29th, whatever that new moon solar eclipse starts up, and that new moon solar eclipse may act both as a new moon and build on and develop whatever this August 22nd new moon brings up. But that new moon solar eclipse is a south node solar eclipse. That new moon is going to focus more on what is it that needs to be released in the Virgo part of the chart that is now kind of overripe. That is a source of familiarity and stability even, but is preventing change. And whatever it is you need to release, you could release the week before and after September 22nd. You could end up releasing it the week before and after November 21st. It could be January 3rd, week before, week after, March 3rd, week before, week after, or significant developments are made and you don't actually release completely until February, March of 27. Very often what we are being asked to release has a sense of boredom, has no life in it. But we're good at it. It's bringing in a certain kind of stability, and that's fine. But it may also be limiting growth and may ultimately lead to loss. It's something that is, you've already got the A+ in it. And we're being asked to lean into the Pisces part of the chart. And in the process, release something in the Virgo part of the chart. And that conversation starts up with the new moon solar eclipse on September the 21st. I will say, if you haven't, do take a look at the video I posted before this one, the one that was an eagle's eye view for the rest of 2025, because this follows on that. Now, we start off with a square to Uranus, and then on the 21st of September, the new moon solar eclipse, the south node solar eclipse, is a trine to that Uranus and Pluto. There is an urgency to take action now, where we keep developing and building on that urgency so that the new moon solar eclipse allows for, as a consequence, a certain amount of flow to keep supporting Uranus in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius. By that time, we are building on whatever it is that this new moon on August 22nd. So as we get into this new moon energy and start to move past it, past August the 22nd, we may be feeling like we're ready to go, raring to go, ready to move forward in a certain direction, ready to plant some seeds and take action to bring the Virgo part of the chart in alignment. And I think if we're doing it the right way, we might find that it releases Uranus to continue to make the right kind of, to introduce the right kind of path for us in the Gemini part of the chart. And that allows Pluto to make the right kind of transformation. By the time we get to the September 21st new moon solar eclipse, things are in place and they can develop further in such a way that the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo on September the 21st, which is focused on releasing something in the Virgo part of the chart, something old, something we're done with, something outmoded, that's something that's actually getting in the way of our forward movement, and starts that dialogue. And that dialogue actually started week before and after January 15th of this year and March 15th of this year, when we had the first Virgo lunar eclipse on March the 13th or March the 13th, I think, of this year. So the week before and after January 13th, 2 months before that lunar eclipse, week before and after March the 13th may have been our first inkling of what we needed to release. And then we pick up on that conversation on September 21st of this year, and then November 21st of this year, and then January 3rd of next year, and March the 3rd of next year, and then all the way to beginning of 2027. I don't have the exact date of that particular eclipse. So the actions we're taking with this new moon are important because they set up a set of dominoes that are quite powerful. This new moon may bring something in that you are meant to respond to, so that the bringing in of it actually allows you to contemplate releasing something. So very hard to release something that is bringing a certain amount of security that we're good at, that we are strong in, that is part of our comfort zone. And we may already be feeling that whatever that is that we need to release is choking us or suffocating us or getting in the way of what we want to do. But in order to be able to release it, we may need to create an alternate something that's going to take its place or offer growth, so that we have the courage to release what we need to release in the Virgo part of the chart. And that is what this new moon in Virgo on August the 22nd may bring in. What do you need to do in order to bring the Virgo part of the chart into alignment with what you value and where you want to go? And by taking the steps towards that, by the time you get to the September 21st second new moon in Virgo, which is also the South Node solar eclipse, you may have greater courage and an ability to contemplate being on a path to release what is outmoded, because you've already created a path, started to plant seeds to bring in something new in the Virgo part of the chart. Even in such a way that it supports the Pisces full moon lunar eclipse on September the 7th, which is a North Node eclipse. My goodness, this contact lens. Now, there are 4 aspects. Jesus, excuse me. There are 4 aspects that are embedded into this new moon, and they are overwhelmingly supportive. There are trines. 3 of them are trines. 1 is an opposition. Jupiter trines the North Node in Pisces. Jupiter in the sign of Cancer trines the North Node in Pisces. You know, I'm going to put this on a hold and put some drops in my left eye and see what's going on. It was an eyelash. The million-dollar question is, have I got rid of the eyelash? Right now it's much better, but then I just kind of squirted some saline into my eye. Did I dislodge the eyelash? It's much more comfortable right now. Or did I just moisten the contact lens so it's more comfortable? We'll find out whether the eyelash makes an appearance again. So the 4 aspects that are embedded into this new moon, so it's not the new moon making these aspects, but these are aspects that are within 5 degrees of becoming exact. They're approaching aspects. They are Jupiter in Cancer trining the North Node in Pisces, Uranus in Gemini trining Pluto in Aquarius, which we just covered, Venus in Cancer getting ready to move into Leo 4 days after the new moon, getting ready to trine Saturn and Neptune in Aries, and Venus also making the 1 tense aspect of opposing Pluto in Aquarius. So Uranus trining Pluto, the new moon trining Uranus, Venus getting in line to oppose Pluto. So Pluto, clearly, Venus and Pluto are 2, Venus, Pluto, and Uranus actually are big movers when it comes to this particular new moon. What's interesting is that when you do have the new moon solar eclipse, it follows an interesting configuration of the new moon trining Uranus and Pluto, but also opposing Saturn and Neptune. So clearly, and the full moon we had in Aquarius 2 weeks ago went through the same thing, where it, trined Uranus and Pluto, and sorry, at that time, during the full moon in Aquarius, Mars trined Uranus and Pluto, and opposed Saturn and Neptune. And the new moon that occurs on September the 21st, new moon solar eclipse, does the same thing. So, I don't think I dislodged the eyelash. Okay. And now someone is starting to have some sort of a party or play some music somewhere. Anyway. Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. When we were dealing with the full moon in Aquarius 2 weeks ago, we had Venus trining the North Node. And now we have Jupiter trining the North Node. I mean, at the end of the day, the North Node is in Pisces, and we're being asked to lean into the Pisces part of the chart. Whatever endings and new beginnings that Jupiter is creating in the Cancer part of the chart are here to support whatever it is that we're meant to get in the house occupied by Pisces, by leaning into it. I can't say more than that, because once I start to talk more about that, we're really going to go into the realm of rising sign specifics, and we're going to go into the realm of personal chart reading. So this is something you're going to have to figure out for yourself if you know and understand your chart and know and understand astrology. What I can tell you that is relevant for a general reading like this is that wherever Jupiter is transiting, he is ending a 12-13-year cycle and starting a 12-13-year cycle, trying to start a 12-13-year cycle of greater alignment with what is right for you. But that comes with an ending. You can't have an auspicious new beginning without an ending. They go hand in hand. Whatever these endings and new beginnings are here to support what it means to lean into the house occupied by Pisces in your chart, because that is underdeveloped for whatever reason. No, not for whatever reason. It's underdeveloped because the North Node is transiting there. But by leaning into that has a sense of our future, wherever the North Node is transiting, wherever the North Node eclipses are occurring, we are asked to lean into that part of the chart, to go after the carrot at the end of the stick in that part of the chart, because it is designed to, because that is what we develop. By developing what is underdeveloped, by developing those underdeveloped muscles, by exploring the new in the Pisces part of the chart, by building it, even if it ends up promising more than it delivers, which is characteristic of the North Node, by moving in that direction, we grow. There's flow, there's expansion. We have to deal with the nodes and the eclipses in a grounded manner, and not be inclined to just dump what is in the South Node in Virgo and just rashly move towards the North Node in Pisces, because that will likely lead to consequences when it comes to our financial and emotional security. So a lot when we're talking about the fact that we're going to have a new moon solar eclipse of release in Virgo on September 29th, a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces on September the 7th, the fact that Jupiter is trining the North Node in Pisces, and we're talking about the North Node in Pisces, it is important to understand, to contemplate what it is that the North Node and the North Node eclipses may be encouraging us to move towards in the Pisces part of the chart, but to understand that there's a process. And that process started in the middle of July of 2024 and takes us to February, March of 2027. It does not have to be, unless something happens and the universe pressures us to make a change and release something. We don't have to act in eclipsy ways. One of the things about eclipses, at least in Jyotish, some elements of Vedic astrology, advise that you actually lie low during the eclipses so that you don't do anything rash. One of the pieces of advice is actually try and hunker down. It's like an earthquake is occurring. So try and take cover under a heavy desk. Try and check out for a bit. I don't think that that's necessarily the right advice. I would say lean into and observe the change and determine for yourself with regard to what is the most effective way to cooperate with the flow and what the universe is asking you to do. Because it's going to be a different thing for each and every individual. What I like about having a new moon in Virgo followed by a new moon solar eclipse in Virgo is this new moon in Virgo gives you the opportunity to try and bring something in and grow something. And who knows, in that process, you may already and automatically start the process of honoring the North Node in Pisces and the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces on September the 7th, and then moving towards releasing whatever needs to be released in the Virgo part of the chart with the full moon lunar solar eclipse, with the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo on September 21st. But with the eclipses, we recognize that we are meant to move in the direction of the North Node here in the house occupied by Pisces in your chart, release something that is overdeveloped, done. Is actually showing signs of, if I stay with this too long, it's not going to give me security. It's actually might lead to loss. This has served its purpose. It's on its way out, however comfortable it might feel. Take a look at that eagle eye view of the rest of 2025 video that I did. So by having a new moon that allows us to take action on August the 22nd, between August 22nd and September 21st, to bring in something new in the Virgo part of the chart, may help honor the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces on September the 7th, and may help us be at a certain place where we can at least start to play with the idea of what it is that we need to release, or moving towards what it is that we need to release in the Virgo part of the chart after the September 21st solar eclipse. But Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, transiting the sign of Cancer, certainly seems to be supporting whatever Jupiter is ending in the Cancer part of the chart and the auspicious new beginning he's trying to create. Certainly seems to be moving towards supporting this North Node in Pisces and what we're supposed to move towards in the Pisces part of the chart. By the time we get to the Pisces lunar eclipse, Jupiter will have just finished, made this trine exact. And that's important. By the time, as we're heading to that eclipse, while the eclipse occurs after Jupiter and the North Node have trined, on its way to that full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, Jupiter and the North Node will trine. Venus, while she's in Cancer at the time of this new moon, but right after she moves into Leo on the 26th, will make those trines to Saturn and Neptune exact. And remember what Saturn is trying to do in Aries, trying to get you to act towards your highest potential in the Aries part of the chart, trying to counteract what Neptune may have done from the middle of March to the middle of May, which is make you agree to take things on where the opportunities were, you may have been giving more to those opportunities than they may have been giving to you. There may not have been opportunities that would have brought you a great deal of fulfillment, would have grown you, would have stretched you, would have been towards your highest potential. Saturn coming into Aries on May the 20th has kind of said, all right, you know what, let's start to make choices that are right for you. Let's start to act in ways that are going to be helpful to you, that are going to grow you, that are going to develop you, that are going to make you successful, that are going to lead to a certain type of success that measures up to what we think your potential is and what you want. So Venus entering Leo, and wherever Venus goes, as I said, she brings those next steps. So whatever seeds have been planted in the Leo part of the chart, since Mercury came into Leo at the end of June, since the Sun came into Leo around July 21st, 22nd, since we had the new moon in Leo on July the 24th, since Mercury went direct in Leo on August the 11th, whatever those seeds are that have been planted, now Venus coming into Leo from August 26th to September the, what was the date I gave you? September the 19th. She will, with a direct Mercury now on her side, Venus will seek to open the doors that are right for you in the Leo part of the chart. And in doing that, she, in her Venusian way, opportunities, but in the Leo part of the chart, introducing financial opportunities, relationship opportunities, but also giving you gain and benefit, even either from the people or companies or entities associated with the house occupied by Leo in the chart, or making you show up to the Leo part of the chart with a cordiality, with a success-oriented mindset, building bridges, shaking hands, reaching out, building relationships, creative opportunities. And in the process of doing so, she supports Saturn trying to get you to act in your highest interest in the Aries part of the chart. She also, in this process, there's a correlation between supporting Saturn right now and supporting Pluto right now. The support to Pluto, because Venus is going to oppose Pluto, is going to feel a little bit like Venus has to take action in the right direction so that Pluto can make the right transformations. There's a lot in the chart right now. The forward-looking energy in the chart with Pluto, Saturn and Neptune in Aries, Uranus and Gemini, is very much around moving you towards goal fulfillment and empowerment. So whatever choices the personal planets are trying to get you to make, the new moons, the sun, Mercury, Venus, even this Mercury retrograde, are all about, and the new moons and the full moons that are occurring right now, are all trying to push you into alignment with Pluto's agenda of loosening the bonds and ties that are that are necessary so that Pluto can create the right kind of transformation for you in the Aquarius part of the chart, supporting Saturn's agenda, trying to get you to act towards your highest interest, your highest potential, accountability towards yourself, but your ambitions, your highest potential, play a bigger game than what you were playing or thinking of playing between the middle of March to the middle of May. Step up that game. Make the right choices for yourself. Honor yourself in the Aries part of your chart. And Uranus saying, let's find the right path and the right breadcrumbs for you. Venus coming into Leo, whatever doors she's going to try to open for you, the many doors that you may have been knocking on since the end of June, but especially since the end of July in the Leo part of the chart. Whatever path you are now moving towards or moving forward with after Mercury is direct, Venus is going to try and help support that once she comes into Leo. And she already is from the Pisces part of the chart. She just not so long ago trined the North Node as well, just as Jupiter is getting ready to do it. With the opposition to Pluto, Venus is required to act in a way that supports this Plutonian transformation. Again, with squares and oppositions, there's an urgency, there's a pressure, there's a tension to make the right choice. And then when the trines come around, we get the consequence of making those right choices. And we're certainly seeing that in the aspects related to the new moon itself. The new moon squares Uranus and Gemini, and then the new moon solar eclipse a month after that square on September 21st, trines Uranus and Pluto. So the new moon squares Uranus in Gemini, Jupiter trines the North Node in Pisces, Uranus is getting ready to trine Pluto, Venus trines Saturn and Neptune, Venus opposes Pluto. These are the aspects that are part of this new moon chart. And whatever is being set up with this new moon, with regard to whatever the universe brings up, or the actions that we take to bring the Virgo part of the chart into alignment and respond to whatever it is that Venus opens for us in the Leo part of the chart, now that Mercury is direct in Leo, also to move forward with whatever We are bringing in the new with this Virgo new moon, so that by the time we get to the Virgo new moon solar south node solar eclipse on September the 21st, we have brought in enough of we've planted enough seeds so that Venus's entry into Virgo on September the 19th, the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo, Venus's entry into Virgo will help grow those seeds and create the next right steps. And the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo sets up a 6-month time frame when we can further develop the idea of what it is that we need to release in the Virgo part of the chart in order to move towards the Pisces part of the chart. But as I said in my eagle's eye view of the rest of 2025, the first priority is still honoring Saturn trying to stabilize the Pisces part of the chart, which is very likely a different energy in the Pisces part of the chart than leaning into the Pisces part of the chart as part of the North Node. Saturn stabilizing the Pisces part of the chart has to do with stabilizing something that has been growing in chaos since 2012 and may have reached a crisis point in 2016-17. Saturn coming into Pisces from September 1st of this year to February, the middle of February of next year, is about cleaning up past issues and past chaos in the Pisces part of the chart. Whereas the North Node solar eclipses going over Pisces could be, as I said, about leaning into something different in the Pisces, all related to the house occupied by Pisces. But it could be, one is about stabilizing past issues and stopping energy leaks, and the other is leaning into something that feels adventurous and feels right and feels like the right next step, but also feels unfamiliar and like we don't have the skills yet, but we're excited to move in that direction. You might be exhausted listening to all of this. I'm exhausted trying to get to this point, but excited. Look, we all want to move forward. We all want to clean up past messes. I'm not looking forward to having Saturn back in Pisces, but I recognize the immense importance of it. I'm excited about the future energies symbolized by Pluto in Aquarius, Saturn and Neptune in Aries, Uranus in Gemini. I know that Saturn and Neptune and Uranus will retrograde back into the old signs of Pisces for Saturn and Neptune and Taurus for Uranus, but in early 2026, they will make those moves permanently, and we will have then Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus creating the new. But in the meantime, we've got to clean up the Pisces part of the chart, and we've got to contend with these eclipses. And when we talk about these eclipses, this new moon in Virgo plays a pivotal role in having you plant seeds and take steps to bring the Virgo part of the chart into alignment, to plant seeds towards something new being built there, so that by the time we get to the influence of the South Node eclipse cycle between September 21st of this year and March the 3rd of next year, we're ready to release what we need to release in the Virgo part of the chart. It'll make that release easier to have seeds being planted to create something new. Remember, whatever seeds we plant with the new moons in a particular part of the chart are ready to harvest 6 months later when the full moons occur. So by the time we get to February of next year, March of next year, April of next year, I would actually say February, March, April of next year is when you might be at a point where you're ready to harvest what the seed planting in the Virgo part of the chart is going to be about. And then Venus opening the next set of doors, etc., etc. There are 3 ways to engage with me, dear ones. The free content I put on this website, the membership part of the channel, has rising sign specific content. And indeed, one of the reasons why I wanted to get this video out is because I'm going to start doing the kind of videos that I want to do now for the rising sign. They're not going to be specific to new moons and full moons. They're going to be whole sort of chart readings for each rising sign. And the new moons and the full moons and other transits will be part of them. So I'm going to now move on to start doing that. But of course, in the free part of the channel, I'm also going to be doing the weekly overviews, etc. So if you want to check out that rising sign specific content, you can also watch it for your sun sign, moon sign. You can become a member. It's $6.99 a month, and membership information, how to become a member is in the description box below. The third way to engage with me is to get a personal reading. My email address is also in the description part of the chart. Description part of this video. When you look below, there's more content written down, the description part of this video. And my email address is there. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. When you subscribe, you get the option to click the wiggly bell on top. When you subscribe, it's an option that appears. When you click the wiggling bell, which is on top, you'll be notified when I do new videos. You can contribute to this video by using the thanks button underneath this video or making a donation, information of which is in the description box. You can contribute for free by liking this video and commenting on it. Feel free to share information about this channel or the content related to this video with anyone who might find this useful. I know that this has been a somewhat technical new moon video, but it needs to be done. We are in, as I said, in my eagle's eye view for the next 6 months, we come out of Mercury retrograde only to head into the eclipses. We'll have a bit of a break in October, but then November will bring its own intensity with Mercury retrograde, and then we'll have a bit more of a break for much of December. But the last week of December, we're going to head back into eclipse energy because it's going to be 2 months before the full moon lunar eclipse on March the 3rd. All right, folks, I will leave it at that. Feel free to reach out if you want a personal reading. I look forward to reading your comments, of course. Feel free to like the video and so on and so forth. Take care.